Well, welcome back. Our first guest shared the importance of taking care of your health, and women, that means getting regular mammograms. Our next guest is sharing her wisdom on the other side as a breast cancer survivor. Welcome, Sherry Lee.
Hello, thank you. It's great to be in Nashville.
Great to have you. We know you've been here before, but congratulations on your recovery. And let's talk a little bit about your backstory for those that may not be aware. You were diagnosed at 47, correct?
I was, and I was someone who, did my yearly mammograms, and I had gone into my doctor's office for a totally unrelated issue, actually an ankle injury. She happened to have extra time, and how many times does that happen when you go into a doctor's office? Rarely. She had some extra time, said, your physical's due soon, let's just do it now. And she found a lump, and the diagnostic process, which I thought would happen really quick. I thought once, there was something suspected, it would happen quick. It felt very arduous, but then I got that call, the call that no one wants, that literally dropped me to my knees. I was 47 years old, 2 kids in high school, and I heard on the other line, I'm sorry, your breast biopsy came back, you have cancer.
And your life was forever changed in that moment. Talk about what the next few months, years, maybe even looked like for you.
Yeah, so I knew that was going to be a tough year. When you're first diagnosed, you don't know exactly what's ahead because it's an initial diagnosis. Even in early stages, it's an initial diagnosis, and you don't know what's ahead. But I thought, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? And from that moment, my favorite quote became, if today is the last day of your life, would you be doing what you're doing now? And I started living very purposefully from there on.
I love that. Well, congratulations on 6 years now. And with that in mind, that's what kind of led you to this really cool project, 50 States project, where you made intentions to go have great conversations with a woman in each state. Can you walk us through that project?
Sure. Well, I had never traveled the U.S. before. I've been fortunate to travel a little bit internationally, but not the U.S. So I thought, okay, I need to do this now if I'm going to do it, because a lot of the travel was on my own. I thought, what would make it interesting? I could visit monuments,
right?
And then I realized, the people are what makes places interesting. So I thought, how about if I meet with either a stranger or somebody I had lost contact with decades ago, or maybe briefly met once before. And I ended up with 50 women, 1 woman in each state, and I traveled and shared a meal with that person.
I love it. We're seeing images now from your travels and some of these women that you met. I mean, how did you even just contact them? Like, hey, I'm a stranger and I want to meet you. Like, how did this unfold?
Yeah, well, so I was able to get 21 states on my own initially, and it was some, like, for instance, Indiana, my website designer. Worked with her for 3 years, never met her in person. So she was one of my contacts, and there are people like that. Or maybe, you and I meet today, and I contact you and say, hey, I would like to sit down and get to know you. So those were 21. Then I went out to social media. People sent me their college roommates, their nieces, their aunts, even their grandmothers, and then I had maybe 13 states left, and that's where it got a little awkward. I thought, okay, maybe a woman business owner, at least then I know she's rooted, and chances of her leaving and skipping out on me probably won't happen as much. And so I reached out and cold called basically and sent all my information except my social security number and said, here I am, and this is my project.
Just curious, was anybody like, no?
Well, I thought there would be, because I said, I'm going to probably write a book, talk about this. So I thought the objection would be, I'm a bit private, this is weird, no. But the only comment that I got that was a slight objection that reoccurred was, I don't know if I'm interesting enough for you.
Oh.
Which I thought was really sad, because I'm just a regular person, and for someone to actually think they're not interesting enough to sit down with a stranger to just get to know each other, I thought was a little sad.
Well, now you have some fascinating stories. I know some that were pivotal in your perspective today. You're putting this together for a book.
Yes, correct.
When can we expect that?
It releases February 13th, 2025, called Table for 51.
And explain the Table for 51 title, because I thought that was pretty cool.
Sure. Well, there were 50 women, so 50 tables, and I'm table 51.
We are almost out of time, but just briefly, can you tell me the most memorable story that we might find in there?
Sure. Well, since this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, there's a woman that changed my life. Her picture came up, Connie from Colorado. I met with her, and I didn't realize at that point, 5 years cancer-free. We sat down, and I told her my marriage wasn't going very good, and one of the reasons was I had a double mastectomy. I said, how would I date and explain this? How would I explain my body? She said to me, Sherry, if you meet the right person, you will never have to explain. Wow. And honestly, that gave me so much strength. I'm in a different stage right now, and I'm moving forward. But a lot of it is she helped me accept my body as it was post-cancer, or as it is.
Love that story. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Great to have you. To read more about Sherry's life, mission, and words of encouragement, you can find her at an imperfectlyperfectlife.com.